So we are doing Quarter Century Week on the Midday Show, which we're trying to crown the top 5 players in Philadelphia sports over the last 25 years. And with you here today, Ruben, we thought it'd be fun to start with a little Eagles conversation off the top 5. Let's hear this.
The Midday Show presents the best Philly athletes of the past 25 years. It's Quarter Century Week.
Makes it sound more official this way. I like this. All right, yes, it is Quarter Century Week.
That got me a little emotional there.
Yeah, well, it feels like 25 years went by fast. Yeah, it does. I felt it in my soul, that one. 25 years went by in a blink. All right, Rube, let's get into it. So there's a lot of ways we can kind of work through this with the Eagles. But last 25 years, this team's been in 4 Super Bowls. They have won 2 rings. They have been one of the best teams, probably a top 5 team in the whole NFL in 25 years. And there's been a lot of great players that have gone through here. So, Ruben, let's go through our list.
Third most wins in the league in that 25.
Most.
Yeah.
So the third most
Steelers
wins and 2 Super Bowls.
Patriots.
Would you say they're the third best franchise in the last 25 years?
Yeah, I think you have
Patriots,
to.
Chiefs, Eagles?
Yeah, they're up there.
Well, it's been an incredible run with a lot of great players. Steelers are up there, certainly. So, Ruben, we were talking before the show today about the top 5 Eagles of the last 25 years. And it's not easy.
It's not easy.
I always joke when NBA fans talk about the top 5 players in the league. They have like 9 players on the list because you just think, oh, he's a top 5 guy. He is. But then you start doing the counting. You're like, I can only have top five guys. That's the way I felt doing my list for the Eagles, where I wrote down, I'm going to tell you right now, we'll kind of work through how we did this and get into the debate on who should and shouldn't be there. But I wrote down my 5, and then I had 3, 6, 9. I had like 12 more guys that I just wrote their name down, and I thought they had a reason to be considered for my top 5. So I'll start us off, Rube. Can't wait to hear yours. We'll get Kyle's, everyone's. And then we'll get to one name that I think is going to be a point of contention for all of us. Does he belong on the list?
Matt Collins?
Yes, he's easily on mine. 215-592-9494. Ruben Frank, here is how I did my top 5. My top 5 Eagles over the last 25 years. Lane Johnson, Brian Dawkins, Jason Kelce, Fletcher Cox, and Brandon Graham. Those were my top 5. I considered a lot of other people, but I went Lane, Doc, Kelce, Fletcher, Brandon Graham. Ruben Frank, you've been covering this team, talking about him forever. Your top 5 Eagles last 25 years.
Well, I love BG. He's one of my favorite people.
He didn't make your list.
Did not make my list. Probably wouldn't be on my top 10 list, as much as I love the guy. 1 Pro Bowl, 1 double-digit sack season. Great Eagle. I think there's 3 locks. Here's how I went about it. I was like, I wrote down like 12 names.
Yep.
Who are the absolutes just have to be on the list? And I came up with Kelce, Doc, and Lane.
I think that's going to be pretty universal. I think those 3
have to be on the list.
Yeah, have to be.
And then it came down, I wrote down JP, Fletch, Shady, Deshaun, Donovan, and Jalen. It's kind of my next group.
Okay, so how did you parse those and who made it?
So I got to take 2 out of that group. And I don't know how you don't, with apologies to Fletch, JP, and Shady, I don't know how you don't have Donovan and Hurts on there.
So you went with both the quarterbacks.
I went with both quarterbacks. I avoided the question of which quarterback and went with both of them. Certainly, if somebody had JP 7 Pro Bowls in that 25 years. You know what's interesting about doing this is 2000 is when they got good. 99 was kind of the transition year to
Pickle
Andy.
Juice game in 2000, and away they went.
Opening day, Pickle Juice game, onside kick. Who we covered? It was a Damian Douglas. And that's when they got good. I mean, because Dallas was coming off a run where they had won 3 Super Bowls. That was really, that day in Dallas at Texas Stadium was the changing of the guard. So these 25 years are really the 25, it's the best 25-year period in Eagles history. So it works nicely. But yeah, I'm going to go Lane, Kelce, Doc, Donovan, and Jalen.
All right, so Jalen Hurts makes Ruben Frank's list. He did not make my list. Kyle Quinn, you got to break the tie here. We're going to find out if Jalen Hurts makes your list. Because that's really, when we were in the meeting today and we were all just kind of spitballing our list, that was the name that I was wondering was good, because he didn't make my list. And for me, I'm going to give quickly on the Hurts thing, because I didn't have Donovan or Hurts. Now, if I could only put one, I would put Hurts because of what he's accomplished in the last 5 years. I'd put Hurts over Donovan. I think Hurts is the best Eagles quarterback of all time. But I don't think he's had enough time in an Eagles uniform to make my list. That's what my point of contention was, that I just didn't. He had enough time, right? Lane's been here since 2012. Brian Dawkins,
13.
Right, 2013, excuse me, 4th pick in 2013. Dawkins was here almost the first decade of the 2000s. Kelce was here the whole time of his career and just retired. Fletcher again, those guys to me put more in an Eagles uniform, and that's why I put them over Hurts. Their resumes were so long, and Hurts isn't there yet. Kyle, your top 5, do you have Jalen?
I did this pretty vastly different from my top 11 list.
Okay.
This one, I think resume was the biggest deciding factor in how I parsed out this list. So obviously Jalen Hurts has to be on there because, like you said, he is, if not the best, the most decorated by far quarterback in Eagles history.
Yep.
2 Super Bowls. He's got the Super Bowl win, the Super Bowl MVP. I had Lane Johnson number 1. I had Brandon Graham number 2. Again, resume. Nobody's played more games in an Eagles uniform. Also 2 Super Bowl rings. Has the deciding play, the defining play even in the 1 Super Bowl, the first Super Bowl in franchise history. I have Jason Kelce, Jalen Hurts, Brian Dawkins.
Okay, so we have very similar lists. I mean, it's just I don't have Jalen Hurts on there. The quarterback thing, Rube, what's interesting is you had 2 quarterbacks, and Kyle had Jalen, and I have 0 quarterbacks.
Here's my thinking on Donovan. Like, when you talk about that period of success from 2000, like to his last year here, which I guess was, 2009?
Yes, 9.
You're talking. I mean, who was the face of the franchise? He won 9 playoff games.
He was the face.
I mean, it was that
him and Doc, but he was the
on
face.
defense.
Yeah,
Doc.
yeah.
But this franchise, when they turned things around, and you remember how bad it was in the, once Vermeil left in the '80s, and under Buddy, under Kotite, under Ray Rhodes, the '90s were. It wasn't until Donovan and Andy got here that they got good, and they got really, really good. They were a perennial playoff team. They would go deep in the playoffs. They didn't have a lot of talent on offense. They had Westbrook and Deuce, but it was Donovan. Donovan was the franchise for a decade. So to me, he was the most important player in the longest kind of stretch of success that they've had.
Yeah, I mean, you go back and look, 2000, which is exactly when this started, through 04, at those 5 years. 11-5, 11-5, 7-3 in 2002 when he got hurt. 12-4, 13-4. I mean, that is an incredible run for any quarterback for any franchise. The one thing about
who was he throwing to?
Well, no one until 04.
We don't get into that, but yeah.
Until 04, no one. The one thing about Donovan, though, that I always it got in my brain a couple years ago when I started to think Hurts was about to surpass him. After 04, it wasn't as good anymore.
No.
I mean, he declined, right? The team wasn't quite as good. 4-5, 5-5, 8-6, the 9-6-1 when they ended up in the title game in Arizona, and then they get to the playoffs the next year in 09. That was his last year. I mean,
he had a good regular season.
Yeah,
and then and then it went bad.
Yeah, it did.
Banjo.
Oh, then Dallas. Yeah,
that was it.
That was it. And they got traded to Washington, and then that was kind of the end.
Yeah.
It was amazing how quickly it did fall off. All right, 215-592-9494. All right, a lot to discuss here with our top 5s. So when you call in, we'd love to hear your top 5. Top 5 Eagles last 25 years. There really are so many names. And the question in my mind today is, does Jalen Hurts belong? I did not have him, my top 5 Eagles the last 25 years. Kyle had him. Ruben had him. Where do you come down? Ruben, just quickly as I go through the names that I didn't put on my top 5, but I just wrote their names down and tried to parse where I thought they belong. Shady, obviously Donovan, Jalen, Peters. Those were the next 4 I thought about. Then you go to Deshaun Jackson was a great player. Malcolm Jenkins was a big-time Eagle for a long time. You go to Trent Cole, Zach Ertz. And then Ruben, I didn't know what to do with T.O. and Saquon because obviously the time they were here, both brief, Saquon so far, T.O. brief in his time, but they were maybe the best player in the sport or the top 2 or 3 or 4 in the sport in an Eagles uniform. And I didn't know what to do with that because there's no longevity, but my goodness, when they were on the team, they were amazing.
Yeah, and for me, Saquon would be closer to the list than T.O.
Well, he won the Super Bowl
for obvious reasons.
And
but
it's gone well, yeah.
Yeah, I just need more than 1 year. And I'll tell you what, if he repeats what he did or comes close to it this coming season, then you have to start thinking about where he is on this list. But it's too soon for me.